Hey everybody, I lied. So here I am making yet another video on formwork for my channel. And I wasn't originally going to be doing this video. I was just going to set up the net on the, in my side yard next to my house, just start doing stuff. But I read one of the comments in the, on the previous video that I did, and it looks like I've passed along a misconception unintentionally. So I want to try to make this video to clear it up, but also since I'm going to be recording for myself personally anyways, I want to see what these changes look like on video. So it's going to be a twofer, but I am actually making a video on this to sort of address some of the recent comments on the previous video. So one of the critiques I'd received was essentially that I'm trying to immediately institute the changes and then prove it on a course, and that's not really my intent. The whole reason of me making the last video was just to see what the changes I was trying to implement under Austin looked like, because we were trying that in the field on that day, on that Sunday, and 2 days later on a Tuesday, here I am making that video. Then on Thursday I edited it together, put it out, and as I was watching it I got to see what the changes look like, how much or how little they actually affected my form, and I used that as information to determine what I was going to do. Today is Friday, the day that video came out. It's the first day I have a chance to be at home working on my form in the net using those changes. And the plan has always been to do this, just not publishing videos on my channel, because that's not the point of this channel, is to be a form channel. I'm not a coach. I'm not teaching people how to throw. I'm trying to fix my own form, but I'm largely trying to do that off camera. That's why I'm doing no disc drills off camera. That's why I'm doing drills from Owen from Trebuchet Disc Golf. I've done a couple from Seabass that he'd recommended, just tangentially on another thread. And I'm doing other things, but I never get to see what those look like in a throw. So that's why I do those special kind of videos where I'm out there on a course on a non-scored round, just so I can see what the throws look like. When I made that video Tuesday, I did not have the impression that what Austin and I did the day before, or Sunday, was going to magically translate into results immediately out on the course. But I did want to find out what me trying to implement those changes would actually look like with throws. And just to be honest, that Sunday video, I did a lot of recording, but I missed recording a number of clips. So a lot of content that we discussed did not actually make it into that video. So I had to go to the course anyways and wrap up that video. So I produced content for that. And while I was there, I was on the tee pad where I normally do practice throws, and I did a number of practice throws after completing that video. And then I decided I would play a non-scored round at that same course just to see what they actually look like on a course. So the point of that video was not, hey, this is a finalized product here. The point of that video is, what do the changes look like in real life? That was not an attempt to do form work. That was an attempt to just try those changes and see what happens. This is an actual form work video. That was a video where I was discussing form work that I wasn't doing in that video. There's a difference in trying to execute a change, out there on a course or whatever, just to see what it looks like. But that's not ironing things in. This is ironing things in. This is what this is for. So to be clear, it was only 2 days between that Sunday where I was getting the form tips, from Austin, looking at my form, trying different things, and then Tuesday, when I made that video. And all I wanted to do is see what these changes actually look like and see if they actually adjust what I'm doing. In large part, they did not adjust what I was doing. I was still dropping the elbow, raising the shoulder, etc., etc. Still sometimes having this foot open when I'm trying to do it like this, still open stuff like that. Totally understandable. And the rounding stuff, I wasn't even working on rounding. I am trying to work on more on extending with the shoulders, but that was not the primary concern in that video. The primary concern in the video was keeping the shoulder down and out, the elbow up and out, and getting the proper swing plane. And I'm trying to use the shoulders to help do that, but there was no expectation that that would be perfect in that video. And another critique was that I was too results focused. I want to kind of clear that up a little bit. A result to me isn't necessarily a good line. It's whether or not I execute what I'm executing. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to result in the perfect line or stuff like that. The problem I have is because when the elbow drops and the shoulder comes up, that does this. This is what causes the disc to go upwards. It's not just a change in the nose angle relative to the launch angle. The actual launch angle is messed up because of that swoop. And so for me, a failed result is doing this and having it go up. That's not necessarily a line issue. It's the whole thing. The line is just what happens to the disc when it leaves your hand. But there's stuff that happens before the disc ever leaves your hand, and it's the swing. To me, and this is something I've explained to Sean, for me results is execution, not what the disc does at the end of it, like where it lands or such. You know, if I'm trying to throw a flat throw and maybe it does an S-curve and it lands in the middle, that's what I consider a successful execution. Firing late with an accidental too much hyzer and late, and it carves around and then lands, fades in the exact spot where I was intending to land it, that would be a results-based, you know, whatever, you know, like if me, oh, I'm happy I made it to the middle of the fairway, that's a result that I'm happy with. No, that's not the result I'm looking for. For me, results is the actual execution itself, and does the disc essentially come out the way I want it to. It's not the line itself or the final result. It's everything. The result isn't just the end product. The result is everything. If you're working on form and you don't change your form, then that is not a positive result. That's a negative result in my opinion. When you execute form correctly for what you're trying to do, that's successful execution. That's what I'm concerned about. You know, maybe I don't explain that well enough, but I'm hoping that's what this video here is for, to clear up my intent when I'm on the course. It's about execution, not pure results at the end, like where the disc lands or purely the disc line itself. Also, yes, things like the foot dragging is a problem. That is something that will be worked on with more of the footwork based form tips I'll be using. Most of what I was focusing on in that video was really the upper body. I wasn't worried about the lower body because I can't do 10, 11, 20, 40 different things at once. I can do one or two maybe. So all I'm focusing on is this. This is the primary thing I'm focusing on in that video. And that doesn't necessarily mean you can round and still have a flat swing plane. Rounding isn't necessarily what I was trying to fix. And a lot of people round and still throw successfully. I'm not trying to fix rounding by fixing this part, but I do think if I can work on a certain motion that does it all in one swoop, that's the ideal. I haven't got to that point yet. I haven't got to the point where I can just do this part correctly, much less the rest. Lastly, one of the comments is that I'm trying to throw too hard. I realize I'm trying to throw 80, 85, 90%. I can't throw any more than 90% effort or things get wildly out of control. So even though it looks like I'm giving it maybe more effort than what I'm feeling, I know how much effort I'm putting into my discs. And when I'm throwing these drives, I'm throwing 90% or less, 85 to 90%. All of my throws in that video were in that range because I'm simply trying to get a full flight out of the disc. I'm not trying to go 100%. That said, it's not 60% or 70%, which is the more ideal way of working on things. But I mean, that's what this net is for. The purpose of that video is different than this. This is form work. Throwing a bunch of practice shots out in a field, out on a course to try different lines or to try that. I don't personally consider that form work. Maybe it's secondary form work, but primarily I'm just trying to see real world results. What does change X, Y, and Z look like when I try to implement them? That's something you cannot successfully do with tech disc. You get an approximation. When you throw a tech disc, by the time it reaches the third or fourth foot, maybe about a meter, it's captured all the telemetry data it needs, and it figures out the rest via algorithms, and that's how it determines a flight path. That's not the same thing as real world flight throwing a disc, and that's specifically what that video was for. and I want to see what actual drives that I actually would throw on a course look like. That does not mean that I expect any of those throws to be a final product. I'm just trying to see if I can perceive differences in terms of what I do when I'm trying to implement any of these changes. And lastly, just to go over the last bit of the comment that I'm reading here, he talks about don't try to throw full max power all the time, slow it down a bit, worry less about distance, and just being smooth and under control. Totally got that, and that's what I'm going to be doing here with Tech Disc. I don't know how to clear up this sort of miscommunication between what I'm intending and what some people in my audience think I'm doing, but they're not always the same, and I don't like making videos like this. The whole purpose of this video is to actually make these changes, but I feel like I need to respond to some of the comments because some of the critiques or criticism are good, some are not, and those ones that are incorrect, I think they come about because I'm not properly explaining what I'm doing. Bottom line is, when I make a video like the last one that I just made that just came out on Friday, that is not a final form video, that's not a final product video. It is a limited scope video that I'm trying to see X, Y, and Z. What do they do when I try to throw normally? That is not me, doing rep work on specific form elements to change form. So I hope that clears things up. I'm going to finish warming up, then I'm going to start throwing some practice throws, then I'm going to start some recorded throws. Okay, so today we're going to start out working on the first tip, which is have your torso rotation be the main driver of your reach back and pull through. So what Austin Jordan means, is basically you want to do this. You want the shoulder itself to drive the reach back. You don't want to reach back like this and then throw like that. That's part of my problem, is I'm getting the arm too involved with the reach back, the extension, the backswing, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm going to put my foot, I'm going to try to orient my foot facing that way when possible, and try to throw into the middle of the net, make sure the rail here is essentially there. So this is where I'm going to put my foot and try to point it that way at all times. And I haven't connected this yet. So all right, so now the form work. Okay, so basically and for me, I try to focus more on the shoulders, not the hips, because I can keep the shoulder and the hips together and I've turned the torso, but I've done so by turning the hips too much. So I want to do that. Hips more in place, like that. Now it's got to be natural. And so far you can see if I bend my elbow, you see what it does? That's not good. I don't want my elbow to be pointing downwards, right? That's a swing plane issue. That's what I'm trying to deal with. It's really hard for me to rotate this. And look, you see how the shoulder comes out? This is one of the problems that I see over and over again, no matter what type of throw, whether it's on the course, in a field, in front of a net. See this part here? You see how one shoulder is higher than the other? Annoys the crap out of me, and that is one of my problems. So turn the torso, but now do this. Now let me see what his next note is. Lean your torso over from the waist to help keep the disc lower during reach back. So this is the hyzer tilt that Owen and others talk about. You want to do this. I don't want to have too much of a hyzer because I'm not going to be the high. Okay, the battery overheated, so I had to replace it. So yeah, I don't remember where I was going with all that, but need a hyzer tilt. Shoulder down and out, elbow up and out, and I don't want this to be too high. So another thing I notice is when I'm throwing, I'm more throwing like this or something like that. Anyways, reach back with the shoulders. Up, see, look at that. It's trying to do this. All right, I've done some warm-ups. In a moment, I'm going to throw. Okay, I've connected this, and I remember now the fourth cue was a wider stance. So I'm going to try to center my body a little bit here, but I'll still have this pointing that way. So wider stance so I don't fall over the brace as much. I still have the front of this foot and the rear of this foot in line with the direction that I'm throwing. It's just this is farther back. All right. So again, rotate with the shoulders, hyzer tilt, shoulder down and out, elbow up and out. And one thing I noticed is when I was throwing, I had this a lot like, I forget the way I had it, but it was, I think it was causing more anhyzer than needed. So anyways, more of a hyzer tilt. All right, I would consider that a late and low release. I need to try to aim for about here. 36.4 miles per hour, 717 spin, 25.9 hyzer. So that's too much hyzer. That's not the way I'm going to play this game, sorry. I will hyzer tilt, but I will not hyzer tilt that much. I'm not going for max distance 600-foot lines with destroyers and bosses and stuff. Okay, wide stance. I'm going to go from the bottom up. Wide stance. Get the grip right. Shoulder and elbow. Feet, shoulder and elbow, torso. Still too low for my tastes. Yeah, negative 5.4 launch angle, that's really terrible. I'm not trying to throw that low. 40 miles per hour, 737 spin. Again, none of that matters. High amount of wobble, 9.3, 17.7 hyzer, still too much hyzer. This is the part of form work that's not fun, actually, because I don't feel like I'm learning anything. I'm just repeating all the same mistakes no matter what changes I'm implementing. That's what it looks like. So again, wide stance, arm out, shoulder back. There we go, that was better. Still a lot of hyzer and a low throw. 0.1 launch angle, that is acceptable. It's finally in the positives. 39 miles per hour, 750 spin, 9.4 wobble. So I'm sure in slow motion I'll see all the errors that I'm doing that I'm not fixing. -6 launch angle, but the nose angle is good, negative 0.4 nose angle, still a lot of hyzer, a lot of wobble. It may just be my body is incapable of throwing a disc properly, and I just have to work around that with other things. There we go, that felt a little better. Even though it was a late release, it was otherwise pretty decent. Yeah. Still a negative 0.6 launch angle, which is not good, but a 6.7 nose angle, so an air bounce basically. 9.2 wobble and 28 hyzer. Way too much hyzer. I don't understand how you guys can throw with that much hyzer. I just can't. Every time I've thrown with 25, 30 degree hyzer tilt, it's just this spike hyzer and the disc doesn't go far. So hopefully I can get out of that at some point. Wide stance. There we go. That actually felt like a throw, but I don't think that was a good throw. All right, sorry, I had to get a branch out of the net. I hate that. Okay, let's try again. I need to see if I can throw a disc with more proper form than what I've been throwing for the last 6 years. Wide stance, so I don't bleed over the brace. Shoulder. -2.6 launch, which is not good. 8.8 nose, 8.0 wobble, 22 hyzer. All in all, terrible numbers. This is why I actually want to see how discs fly out on a course in a field, because if I get good throwing like this, all I'm going to do is throw my disc into the ground repeatedly. If the only changes I'm making are negative changes, I don't need to be making changes. If all my other flaws in my form are going to stay there, but now I'm throwing into the ground, I've made my situation worse, which is not desirable. Okay, wide stance, blah, blah, blah with the arm, backswing with the shoulders. There we go. negative 3.3 launch, but 4.5 nose, which is still an air bounce, and it's still throwing it into the ground with a lot of wobble and hyzer. So yeah, not good. Formwork is not fun. Sorry, it isn't fun for me because I'm never seeing actual results. I'm never actually executing what I'm intending. That probably produced a little more spin. Yeah, 819 spin for 44 miles per hour. So both speed and spin were up. So see if I can remember to throw up here and stop throwing down here. So I'm gonna now look where I'm throwing and then just try to throw there. Okay, wide stance, blah, blah, blah. Oh, there we go, I threw it higher. Of course, I was aiming here and hit there, so that's not good. But it's better, it's negative 0.1 nose, but that's better. Negative 0.1 launch angle, but a 9.5 nose. That is pretty terrible. Wide stance. There we go. I got to throw where I wanted, but I still think I brought the elbow down because I think really that's the only way I know how to throw. 6.6 positive launch angle, but 11 nose. That's pretty terrible. 1.1 launch, that's good. 7.5 nose. To be fair, I'm not trying to adjust the nose, but I do find it pretty upsetting that my nose is naturally high. There we go, that felt good. Positive 1.2 launch, but a 12.4 nose. I'm gonna go for extreme hyzer because I want to see if I stand up at all or what happens. That should be like a 40 hyzer. Yeah, 39.4 hyzer, 12.5 launch angle, that's good, but the nose angle was 10. But the wobble was 2.9, that was the lowest wobble yet. Spin was really low for that speed. Imagine throwing 48 miles per hour but only getting 601 spin. So that was actually a failure. Really bad spin numbers for the speed. 10.5 launch, that's good. 9.5 nose, that's bad. 2.4 wobble, that's really good for me. But again, low spin. 50.2 miles per hour, but 658 RPMs. That's not good spin to speed ratio for me. And 32.5 hyzer. So while we're here, let's talk a little bit about elbow drop. So the thing is, a lot of people are having this issue with elbow drop, and it seems to be a known issue that has happened off and on over the last, however many decades that people have been throwing the disc. But I haven't really seen this problem gain a lot of traction online, particularly in the YouTube space, because it seems like a lot of people are doing work with their form that just happens to take care of that issue in and of itself. The problem for someone like me, who may have bad musculature or anatomy in order to do this, is I don't have a set of fixes for it. There's no set of fixes for this online. There's do this drill, do that drill, try to focus on this. But when it comes down to it, if you're throwing and your elbow just automatically comes down, that motor pattern is hard to break. And so that's what I'm dealing with here. Now, I think a lot of the things can cause this motor pattern. I think an issue where you're off balance, where you're falling over your brace, can cause an issue as maybe your body is trying to counterbalance, this position by bringing this up. Rather than doing this, it's doing this. I think this is part of my problem. So that's why I'm trying to move my center of gravity, center of mass behind the brace so that I can stop it and hopefully stop this. The problem is because I've ingrained this muscle memory, for me getting behind the brace just means I'm doing this. I mean, do you see that there's maybe a problem with my shoulders? I think there's a problem. To me, this looks like there's a problem. So I'm trying to solve it. The problem is my body just wants to do it. And even if I'm behind the brace, and this is some of the things I noticed when I did successfully get behind the brace and not fall over it, I was still throwing like this. Okay, battery number 2 overheated, so that's inside the house cooling down. Now I'm on battery 3. Just try to get into these positions and make this the new position. Better stats. Negative 0.2 launch is bad. 4.5 nose is not too bad, it's about normal for me. And then 3.5 wobble, that's really good. Okay. Again, I'm going to try to turn this more into a regular throw by me, but using the same mechanics. Now I could tell I did something like that and the nose came up. Yeah, 10.2 nose, so I definitely tell that went up. However, the launch angle 4.6 is perfect in my eyes. 6.4 wobble, that's normal for me. 15 hyzer, that's good. I'd rather be in the 10 to 15 hyzer range than the 25, 30 hyzer range. And as long as wobble's under 8, that's good, but I'd like to get it under 4. But the nose angle is probably the worst thing. So now I'm gonna try nose angle, but do exactly the same stuff. So turn the key a slight bit, pour the coffee a slight bit. There we go. I still think I brought the nose up. Like in the swing, I felt it do this, so that's not good. Yeah, 12.7 nose, so I did that accidentally. 3.5 launch, 6.5 wobble. So for whatever reason, I did this just before I let go of the disc, just before the disc got to the hit. So that's kind of distressing. That's happened twice in a row at least that I've noticed. Okay, wide stance. I think I had the shoulder up too high. 0 launch, exactly 0, but 8.7 nose, so that's not good. So clearly I'm still swooping because that's exactly what causes that issue. So even though I'm trying not to swoop, I'm doing it. That's why form change is hard. That's why form change is not fun. Form work is not fun. Wide stance. There we go. That was a late release with more hyzer than intended. Yeah, 23.5 hyzer, so that is not good. That is not what I was attempting. 3.4 launch is great, but the nose is 11.8, which is terrible. Wobble is 4.1, and that nose issue is what caused the wobble. Wide stance. Get this into position. There we go. Oh, I did it again. I can now tell and see when the disc does this before release. Pretty impressive. Yeah, 14.7 nose, which is absolutely terrible. So whatever I'm doing is actually making my nose angle worse than normal. 5.2 wobble, that's normal. 4.1 launch is good. Hyzer 28, so I'm doing too much hyzer, too much nose. I'm gonna do more excessive curling just to see if I can combat what I believe is causing that issue. There we go. Again, a lot of hyzer. The more I went on the swing, the more I did this when I was throwing. I can tell that in the moment I did this. And I may have done this, which would bring the nose up relative to the launch. Negative 2.2 launch, so I threw it down towards the ground. 6.7 nose, so I threw it up. Or, you know, the nose angle was up. And 21.7 hyzer, which is bad. How I only got 4.4 wobble, I do not know. Again, I'm doing this. That's not what I'm supposed to do. I'm in the moment trying not to do that, and then I do that. It's something about how my stance is. 40.3 hyzer, 8.6 launch, which is fine, but nose is 6.8. So for some reason, this excessive amount of hyzer tilt makes me do this. So I'm basically throwing like that. Absolutely amazing. 30.2 hyzer, 2.2 launch, but a 23.1 nose. Terrible. There we go. I tried deliberately releasing early, and indeed I did. 22 hyzer, 10 nose, negative 4.6 launch. So every one of these throws is bad. See, if I tried this in the real world, not in a net, but out in a field, I would see different results. And that would help me change what I'm doing based on those results. I'm not making those changes here for some reason. Wide stance. Go comically wide, just see what this does. A lot of hyzer, late release. The only good news is I probably had a positive launch angle. Yeah, 7.7 launch angle is good. 3.1 nose, which is actually probably the best I've done today so far, which is not good. And last, 9.8 hyzer. So that was actually a pretty decent correction. So again, wide stance, try not to blow past the brace. Okay, wide stance. 20 hyzer, 10 nose, 8 launch. Terrible numbers, absolutely terrible. I don't know how I'm supposed to improve if I can't produce good throws. There. Slowed it down so much and just tried throwing. In other words, I ignored the advice given to me. 0.3 launch, 3.8 nose, both are great. Only 11.5 hyzer, 6.2 wobble, so slightly higher wobble than what I want, but everything else is great. So I'm now gonna throw. I'm ignoring all the advice. I'm just gonna throw. I'm gonna see what kind of results I do. I'm gonna try to put myself in the same position, but now I'm just gonna throw. Okay, 2.2 launch is good. 6.9 nose, I would say that's bad. Not really bad, but it's still bad. 15.3 hyzer, 5.5 wobble, it's decent. So, okay. So the more I just make this a regular throw and just hope and pray that some of these form cues happen magically. .9 launch is good, 3.8 nose, 3.6 nose, that's not too bad. 10.8 hyzer, that's okay. 3.3 wobble, so it's the way to do it. Just throw. Try to implement the things, but just throw. Negative 1.4 launch is not good. 4.8 nose, that's not too bad. 17.6 hyzer, that's an increase. 3.4 wobble, that's good. So I am producing less wobble overall in my throws, I've noticed, even in my previous tech disc sessions. Okay, wide stance. There we go. I threw exactly where I wanted. So in terms of what I feel like my execution and what happened as a result of it was closer to what I envisioned myself attempting to do. 2.8 launch is good. 11.6 nose is bad. 14.2 hyzer is not too bad, but it's more than what I do whenever I'm playing around in disc golf. I almost never have a 14, 15, 16 hyzer or more. Just never happens. 4.1 wobble is good though. For me, that's good. So I'm starting to get into the territory where the wobble is going down, and now I've got the launch angle fixed. So if the nose and the hyzer are my biggest problems, then that's okay. That was a late release, too low. And to be fair, I was looking as much as I can in the direction that I was throwing. So I know that affected my body a little bit. 1.7 launch is good. 9.7 nose is bad. 12.9 hyzer, that's not too bad. 4.8 wobble, that's not bad. So I'm getting better. Some things are getting better, even though the form may look absolutely terrible. Like, I'm sure in slow motion, this does not look good. There we go, that felt good. And I know for a fact my shoulder's up too much, so I don't think I'm able to fix that. 0.4 launch, that's good. I like a 0 or higher launch, as long as it's not negative. Nose is 9.1, so that would make it go up a little bit. 15.2 hyzer, that's okay, but I want it under 15. 4.5 wobble, that's good. As long as it's under 8 wobble, that's fine for me. I'm never gonna get sub 4 wobble numbers under this current type of throwing paradigm that I've been doing for 6 years. There we go. 1.4 launch is good. 6.1 nose, that's better. 17.4 hyzer is still too much. 4.3 wobble, that's okay. Okay, now we're gonna do some cross step walk-ups. This is a test I'm not gonna throw. Like that. I think I use the arm too much to reach back instead of the shoulder. 4.2 launch, good. 8.1 nose, not too bad for me, but it's not a good nose angle for most. Hyzer, 6.8, that was actually intentional. That was good. 5.4 wobble, that's okay, given the nose up, amount of nose up that I was doing. Okay, let's do this again. Incidentally, that was 47 miles per hour because I'm not focusing on speed. I'm just focusing on the swing. There we go. I did focus more on reaching back like that with the torso. 1.3 launch angle, again, that's good. Nose angle, 10.5, that's bad. 9.0 hyzer, that's good. 6.4 wobble, that's too high. I would like it around 4. But all things considered, that is an acceptable throw. That would probably go a decent distance in the real world. Yeah, 187 feet distance with a height of 15 feet according to that. So almost replicating a real world throw. That's kind of cool. Never thought I'd see that in any of my throws today. All right, cross step, wider stance, shoulder and elbow down, rotate with the shoulder. There we go. I felt like I did more of that. And of course, that means nothing because I can't tell when I'm doing good or bad so much. But when I look in the video later, I'll see, okay, I did this wrong, I did this right, etc. Negative 2.6 launch is not good. 7.4 nose, that's okay for me. 10.6 hyzer is good. 4.6 wobble, yeah, any sort of wobble that's 4 or less is fine by me. One last throw. There we go. I think I extended or abducted this too early, like, so that caused problems, I know. 3.8 launch angle, that's good. 5.1 nose, that's good. 15.4 hyzer, that's on the edge of bad, sorry. And 6.1 wobble. So, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do a lot more of this off camera because, all right, the third battery overheated, so I replaced it now with the first battery that I let cool off inside my house. 1.6 launch, 2.6 nose, 5.0 wobble, 8.1 hyzer, 3.2 launch, 5.8 nose, 5.4 hyzer, 4.3 wobble. 6.1 nose, 3.9 launch, 3.3 wobble. 0.6 launch, 4.0 nose, 5.6 wobble with 26.3 hyzer. So not a good throw. 5.1 launch, 8.5 nose, 3.8 wobble. 5.8 launch is good, 7.2 nose is not, 3.1 wobble is good. 51.5 speed at 734 spin is bad. That should have had higher spin rate at least. 51.7 with 769 speed, so the spin did not change really. 3.4 launch is good, 8.8 nose is bad, 3.0 hyzer is good, 5.4 wobble is not too bad. 4 to 8 wobble is not too bad. It was too late a release, a lot of hyzer, but only 9.7 hyzer, so that's good. 4.9 wobble, that's not too bad. 53.8 speed, that's about as fast as I throw. 716 spin. 5.2 launch is good. 9.8 nose is bad. 6.3 launch, 8.2 nose, 4.5 wobble, 1.1 hyzer, that is good. If I get between 1 and 5 hyzer, that is fantastic for me the way I throw. 4.5 wobble is good. 52 miles per hour exactly, 756 spin. So whatever I'm doing, I'm not able to increase my spin the way I want. 1.8 launch is good, 9.6 nose is bad, 3.1 hyzer is good, 3.8 wobble is good, 50.4 speed is good, 807 RPMs for that speed is better. That would be more than if I get 50 miles per hour and 800 RPMs, I consider that a good throw. There we go. That was, everything was perfect on that in terms of what I was releasing and everything. 5.9 launch, that's good. 6.8 nose, not too bad. 5.1 hyzers, good. 4.2 wobble, that's on the cusp of goodness. 53.4 speed, that's good. That's about as fast as I go, but 794 spin, a little bit lower than what I want. Even though a lot of things are wrong with that, some things are right. 5.7 launch is good. 5.8 nose is better for me. It's still not good, but it's not as bad as it's been. 5.9 hyzer, that is good. 3.2 wobble, that is good. 49.7 speed, miles per hour, 747 RPM, that's okay. It was not my max distance attempt. It was a high power throw. There we go. That is a throw. I feel like I got it. I felt like I got it. I got him. 7.9 launch, yes. 2.6 nose, that's probably among the best of today. 7.2 hyzer, perfect. Under 10 is great, as long as it's positive hyzer and not anhyzer. 3.9 wobble, that is good. The speed and spin, honestly, I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on the other 4 variables that are most important to me. There we go. I tried doing more at the shoulder. So just so you know what I felt like, I thought I got that shoulder and then through, but I have a feeling I still did this. So again, as long as I'm making progress in a direction, I think that's fine. What does Techness say? 3.5 launch, yes. 6.3 nose, not too bad. Negative 1.2 hyzer, that's negative 1.2 points off of what I want. I want 0 hyzer to 10 hyzer. 3.9 wobble, that's also good. So the key takeaway today is I am having less wobble overall. Generally, the average, whatever you want to say, for what I typically tend to throw. So I've decreased my wobble and I've improved my launch angle. So if anything's taken away today, and actually now that I'm focusing more on throwing, the hyzer angle has fixed itself. So speed is good. Spin, I would just like a touch more spin for the speed that I'm putting on, and a lower nose angle. So right now I'm actually having success, which I didn't think I was gonna have earlier in the day. There we go. That felt more like what I was attempting. Like I felt like the cues I was trying to attempt, more of them occurred from being at more of a hyzer tilt and that shoulder. I just don't know whether or not my arm collapsed in the throw. It probably did, because as a rule, just expect my arm to collapse into the body, even though I'm trying to fix that. 3.8 launch, 7.6 nose. 20.4 hyzer, I could tell I was doing more hyzer on that one. That was kind of an overcorrection from the negative hyzer I had before. 3.7 wobble's good. 50 miles per hour, that's great. Again, I'm not focusing on speed, I'm focusing on, is my swing plane doing what I want it to do? There we go. Felt like I got something on that one, even if it came out a touch late and too much hyzer. So yeah, 11 hyzer, I was trying for less hyzer than that. 6.4 launch angle, that's good. 8.4 nose angle is bad. 4.1 wobble, that's good. 52.5, that's really good. Maybe a touch too high. I was trying to aim it for here, and a touch too late. Basically, if it hits around here, that is what I want. 9.4 launch is good. Anything under 10 launch is good, but it has to be a positive number. 5.5 nose, that's not as bad as it's been. 1.3 degrees of hyzer, that is good. That is a flat throw for me. 3.9 wobble, that's good. Speed and spin are about good. There we go. I would say that was a touch too late, hitting here and not here. Maybe a touch too high, but it's within a range of acceptability for me. 5.5 launch, that's good. 7.8 nose is bad. 6.8 degrees of hyzer, that's good for what I want. 4.7 wobble, that's not too bad. Speed is good, 50.4, but the spin is 708, which is low for that speed for what I'm going. So I'm going to focus again on curling the wrist more, but doing everything else I'm doing, and just see how this goes. There, and I tried a touch more turning the key, so that should produce a lower nose angle. Now let me see what happened. 7.0 launch, 6.0 even nose, that's not too bad. Hyzer 0.7, that's great. 4.6 wobble, that's okay, that's acceptable. 48.3 miles per hour with 763 RPM, that's comparable. Those are good numbers. So I fixed everything, generally speaking, on that. Another aspect of doing form work is trying to get the successful aspects focused on and the negative aspects deprioritized. So the fact that I'm having more things occur successfully, that's great. Okay, I threw it too high, and I was attempting to do this with the nose, but I think I brought the arm up, so it was too high, and I don't know about my nose. I don't think the nose was that good. Yeah, 9.7 nose, so I didn't actually do the correction I wanted by turning the key. I didn't successfully turn the key. 8.8 launch, yeah, that's too high. 5.8 hyzer, that's good. 3.2 wobble, that is great. So yeah, I'm seeing more good things out of this, even though, just to be honest, my form is probably just as terrible as it always is. But there may be some slight improvements somewhere because of these cues. We'll see. I won't know until I edit this video, which is sad. There we go. That was perfect. To me, that felt perfect. Now again, my form may have been trash, but that looked and felt perfect. So that's what I consider an execution success. At least that's what it looked like to me. 9.3 launch, a little too high. 8.8 nose, that's not good. 12.8 hyzer, that's not good. 4.0 wobble, that's good. Good spin to speed. Even though that looked really good to me, that did not produce good numbers. I would say mediocre numbers is what it produced. So that is kind of weird. Objectively, to me, the way it looked and felt was good. But looking at the numbers, that was bad. So let's try it one more time. There we go. That again felt really good. 5.3 launch, that is an improvement. 6.1 nose, that's, well, technically it's an improvement, but it's not exactly what I want. 10.5 hyzer, it's a little too much hyzer. 4.7 wobble, a little too much wobble. Speed to spin, good ratio. There we go. Man, that's like 3 in a row that I feel like I put something on it. Like that felt good. So the problem is, because it felt good and it looked good, it may not actually be good. It may just be a return to my normal bad form. 7.2 launch, not bad. 7.4 nose, not good. Okay, let me see if I can improve on things. Man, that felt good. 6.4 launch is great. 12.1 nose is bad. 13.0 hyzer, that's bad. That's not what I was intending on doing. 5.6 wobble, that was always all bad. So all that felt good, but was bad. Man, whatever the deal is, I'm nailing it. So if this is bad, but I'm consistently doing this, the overall results are not as bad. 5.5 launch is great. That's an improvement. With a 7.8 hyzer, that's an improvement. 6.7 nose, that is also an improvement, even though it's not the territory I want to be in. 3.3 wobble is fantastic, and the speed to spin ratio is good. Not great, but good. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I will build skills with terrible form and love it. Touch too high, and I could tell there was a lot of nose up on there. Pro tip, if your disc hits the net like this, you've thrown nose up. Yeah, 8.2 nose, not surprised in the least. In fact, that seems low for what it looked like to me. 7.0 launch, that's good. 4.6 hyzer, that's good. Wobble 5, that's not good. The spin is low per speed as well. 50 miles per hour, but 733 RPM. I just don't think that's a good number. I think it needs to be 800 plus on the RPMs. So I'm going to curl the wrist more, but otherwise do the same. Oh my goodness. That felt and looked so good. 8.2 launch, I approve. 6.1 nose, again it's high, but I mean for me, 4 to 8 nose is probably good. It's probably similar to wobble numbers. Like the wobble is 2.8. That's the lowest wobble I've probably had all day. 8.6 hyzer, so that looked good. I'm happy with that throw, even though it's less than perfect. Oh my goodness, absolutely perfect. I know the stats may not match up with the way that looked and felt to me. Yeah, 3.2 launch, a little low, but that's good. Nose was 9.6, so that was not good. 8 hyzer, 2.5 wobble, man. So whatever I'm doing is helping with the wobble. The spin is a touch low, but not too low. But it's still not where I want it to be. Try this again. Oh man, I'm dialing, whatever I'm doing, I'm dialing it in. Maybe I'm just dialing in bad form, but it looks a lot like good form to me from the outside. 6.2 launch, that's good. 9.5 nose. My nose is just going to be too high. I'll have to focus on that at some point. 3.4 wobble, that is good. 11.7 hyzer. A little too much hyzer, but all things considered, that would have been a decent throw. The speed has come up. The spin has come up relative to speed. So I'm liking those numbers. Just imagine once I start getting other things going well. Just had to try to make sure that I had this wrist curled when I threw in. So I'm hoping that means higher spin numbers relative to the speed. And indeed it is. 894 RPMs compared to 47.5 miles per hour. That's a slightly higher advance ratio than I'm used to, higher than the average. So I'm pretty sure that me making sure this was curled as it comes to the power pocket helped there. 4.6 wobble, that's not bad. That's good. That's okay for me. Anywhere in the 4.0 to 4.9, I can live with. 9.9 hyzer, that's a touch too much hyzer for me. 5.9 nose, that's good for me. And 7.8 launch, that's good. So yeah, I'm liking these numbers here. Man, I know I spun out there, but I'm so happy with the way the upper body felt, which probably means that was not good. 3.9 launch is good. 8.4 nose, not good. 19 hyzer, that's way too much. 2.6 wobble is great though. And 810 RPM for 45.9 miles per hour, that's good in my opinion. All right, I'm gonna keep doing this until I feel like I'm doing bad. Oh man, I have to say, the results, if indeed you're looking into results, I feel like the results are good. I feel like I'm executing what I'm doing. Even if the shoulder's too high, the arms collapse and the elbows in, I feel like I'm at least getting a better swing than I normally get. 7.1 launch is great. The nose number is bad as usual, 9.5. 10.8 hyzer, that's acceptable. 6.6 wobble, that's too much. And 750 spin for 45.4 miles per hour, low spin. Okay, so that was not as good as some of the other throws in terms of overall results. I will do nose fixes in the future. I'm not really focused on it now, although I may try a touch of it right now and just... Okay, that was pretty good, that throw. 3.7 launch, 7.2 nose, 11.3 hyzer, 3.8 wobble, 883 spin, good. So yeah, I did this when I was throwing. I made sure to bring this in, made sure the wrist was curled. That's all I worried about. I didn't worry about trying to extend it once it got to here. I just wanted to make sure as I brought it out that I deliberately brought it in, and that increased my spin rate, I believe. Certainly didn't hurt. I generally like that. It was a touch low and touch too much hyzer, but yeah, negative 0.5 launch, that is not good. 6.1 nose, which is about as good as I can expect. 11.8 hyzer, so yeah, too low, too much hyzer. The wobble is great, 3.0 wobble, that's fantastic. 0.0 launch, that's good. That's the minimum launch angle that I want. 8 nose, 10.1 hyzer, that's too much. 5.7 wobble, that's too much. So I don't need to look at anything else to know that that was not as good a throw as the previous ones. Felt good, not great. I felt weird about that one. But 4.7 launch, can't argue with that. 10.0 nose, yeah, that's fine. But I'm not doing nose angle specific stuff right now. I'm just working on the rest of the swing. 14.4 hyzer is bad, too much hyzer. 3.5 wobble, that's okay. It's good, it's under 4, that's good. Spin to speed is average. Let's slow this down a touch more, but do the same essential type of throw. I definitely moved that torso faster than the body. Like I wasn't fully planted and I was already throwing. I could tell on that. -2 launch is bad. 6.2 nose, that's okay. 7.4 hyzer, that's okay. 4.3 wobble, that's okay. Not a bad throw, just not what I wanted. There we go. I was spinning out a little bit towards the end there. 4.0 launch is good. 9.8 nose is bad. 7.9 hyzer is good. 4.9 wobble, that's the edge of good to me. Oh man, other than a late release, that felt okay. The late release part, I could tell was not good. 4.4 launch, the launch angle has been fantastic today. Once I started aiming for here and above, launch angle has been perfect all day. Wobble numbers have been good. 4.3 wobble on that throw, that's okay. 8.8 nose, a little too much, but that's okay. 6.1 hyzer, that's great. So really nose angle and to some extent spin rate being a little slow. Nose angle being a little too high. Those are the two things I'm dealing with. Now to work on nose angle. There we go. I'm pretty sure I had a negative nose angle on that one. Nope, only a 6.6 nose angle, so even though I felt like I had it on a negative nose angle, it was not. 5.5 launch, perfect. 6.2 wobble was bad. So I did too much of whatever, creating too much wobble and not enough change in the nose. Spin was really low on that. 690, that's probably the slowest of the day, and that was a 46 mile per hour throw. 0.3 hyzer is good. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. It's starting to rain, so that's gonna do it for this video. Sorry it's so long, but to be honest, I feel like I had to make this video. It's a little bit of a response video to the previous one. I had someone reply on the other one, and they had some questions and concerns, and they kind of thought I was handling things wrong because I had a different set of expectations. But I mean, he can't read my mind. It's not his fault. He doesn't understand, and that's fine. You know, we're all humans. We're all trying to do better. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you like it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, as I have more interesting disc golf content on the way. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.